What's good people? Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I know it's a little late, but my insomniacs stay up and watch. What's going on, good people? What's up, Corey? What's up, Will? How you doing? What's up, Miss Driver? Shonda. Let's see who else we have. Jenny Dean McElroy. Sorry, Michelle Moore Frazier. Everyone else who just joined, welcome. Thank you guys for joining. For those who this is the first time joining, this is what we do. We talk about commentary, we talk about politics, we talk about a lot of things, and we also give you some substance. If you would like to help this channel, if you would like to help us keep this movement going, and also just to be out there to help other people, please consider becoming a patron. I upload videos for those who become a patron. It's just as little as $2. So anyway, just get into this. Let's get into this, and I don't want to labor any longer. So let's get into some of these stories here. In Oklahoma, we have, I'm a big proponent on trying to change this criminal justice reform system. I am also looking at the fact that the jail system and how we have young people that are in jail. We have young people that are behind bars. We have young people, yes, as young as 16 years old, sometimes as young as 15 years old, if they tried as an adult. Unfortunately, we just received news before I got on the air that a 16-year-old inmate died of suicide in the Oklahoma County Jail. A 16-year-old, and this is courtesy of News 4, a 16-year-old, and I read the comments here, it says, sheriff deputies are investigating a young inmate committed suicide in the Oklahoma County Jail. Just after midnight, April 23rd, detention officers, notice it says April 23rd, and we just receiving this information today. I want you to see how that works. April 23rd, today is May 2nd, and we're just now receiving this information. It says, on the midnight of April 23rd, detention officers say they did a site check on a 16-year-old inmate and appeared to be fine. Just 20 minutes later, authorities say he was hanging from the light fixture by a noose and was fashioned out of towels. Immediately, the officers performed CPR. Paramedics quickly rushed to him nearby hospital. However, he was pronounced dead. Looks like yesterday. He was pronounced dead yesterday. Oklahoma Sheriff Department Special Investigation Unit confirmed that the teen was in the cell by himself and no foul play is suspected in his death. Officials say that the teen had been booked into the Oklahoma County Jail February the 4th. You see how long that has been. February the 4th on complaints of first-degree rape, assault with a dangerous weapon, obstruction of officers, and resisting arrest. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A 16-year-old has committed suicide inside the Oklahoma County Jail. And you're probably asking yourself this question: how did this happen? How do we have 16-year-olds being into an adult facility and they have committed suicide? I have always said this statement is that if you know of a loved one that you have within jail, especially county jail, get them out of them. Because the reason I say the county jail is because the county jail, it's like a herd of animals. They just put you into this whole bunch of inmates, and they just throw the ones that have fines and tickets, the ones that are murderers. They just throw everybody into these pods, and you walk around. And people who've gone to county jail, they absolutely hate it. You don't get the chance to touch your loved ones. You don't get a chance. That's why I tell people, you have family members that are in there, bail them out. So it looks as if this young man was in jail because he was booked on Oklahoma County Jail, first degree rape, assault with a dangerous weapon, and obstructing an officer and resisting arrest. That's a lot of charges. So there was a question, it was like, why was he in an adult jail? Keep in mind, juveniles also go to an adult jail the same way they do in Tulsa County. But it happens. Apparently he was tried. He's being tried as an adult. He was tried as an adult, but unfortunately, he didn't make it. And that's just the unfortunate part. Jail is not a place for rehabilitation. It's not a place for you to go and get your education. It's not a place. It's just not a place. It's not equipped for any of that. And That jail, as a matter of fact, there was another story that's saying that the pipes are getting hot and the air conditioning is no longer working in that Oklahoma County jail. And as you know, last year, the feds wanted to come in and monitor this particular jail because they have had so many deaths and suicide that is happening in that jail. And as you know, that they've had a different sheriff, and the sheriff is over the jail. So I want to make sure you guys understand the sheriff is over the jail. So a lot of this stuff that is going down, and I know, and I want you guys to realize this, that a lot of people are in jail. People are in jail because they're waiting. The majority of them are waiting to go to court, or they're waiting for their conviction. There's another portion of them that are waiting for transfer to go to Lexington. That's where they have been sentenced and they're actually on the property of the DOC. And then in Oklahoma County and in Tulsa County, there's another percentage that is being held on immigration hold. Those are the two programs. That program is called 287G. So the jail is a money-making process, and that's the things that happens within those jails, and it's unfortunate. I don't know if he was in a cell by himself. Typically, they're put them in the medical wing. I know in Tulsa County, when they put you in a cell by yourself, you're in the medical wing, and you should have cameras there. You should have all those different things. So the question would be for their family is that, how many rounds was the guard supposed to go? And if they did wellness checks and all those different things, how often, how frequently their wellness checks are supposed to happen according to their policy. So their family is going to have to lure up and find out, how did this happen? How did this guy, did he present tendencies to have suicide tendencies or anything of that nature? But it's definitely a sad state of affairs. All right, let me move on to my next story here. Governor Stitt, Governor Stitt, he is shocking a lot of people. Governor Stitt has decided to say, we're going to do criminal justice reform. That's right. The Republican governor has decided to say, we're going to do criminal justice reform. The Republican governor, no lie, he has said that he wants to do criminal justice reform. And these are the proposals that he is offering, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just go ahead and go big screen here so you guys can see this here. Here's the proposals that he is offering. He is offering fines and fees refunding reform. He seeks to eliminate the existing conflict of interest. Let me highlight this so you guys can see this here and people in the back. He is looking to eliminate the existing conflict of interest in Oklahoma's system between generating revenue and administrating justice will result in fewer fines and fees. Now, let me go back to me. Let me explain to you why that's so important. That is so important because Oklahoma is #1 incarceration for males and #1 incarceration for females. So in the majority of people, he's talking about fines and fees. Yes, people are going to prison over fines and fees. So that's why this is so crucial. And we're talking about nonviolent offenses. All right, let's go back to another one type of his reforms here. He also wants to talk about treatment and diversion funding. I don't know where this money is coming from. He said he wants funding for programs that help Oklahomans break the cycle of incarceration. That means recidivation, and also address mental health needs and assist with reintegration. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of nonprofit programs out here who talk about reintegration that are doing phenomenal work out here, that are nonprofit organizations that are helping people to reintegrate back into regular society. So this is what the governor is proposing. Here's another thing he's proposing also too. He also proposing a second chance reform. House Bill 1371 would allow Oklahomans with non-violent felony convictions to be licensed in occupations as long as that occupation is not related to their offense. I think we're going to need some clarity on that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to need a lot of clarity on it, but keep in mind, these are just proposals, but I like it. It's a step. And anytime a person is saying, look, it's a step. All right, let's go back to something else because I think it's very critical. This is something that Drew Edmondson was talking about, and it looks as if that Kevin Stitt is going to propose this. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. It says retro impact for State Question 780. It says an expedited commutation process to release offenders currently in jail on drug possession crimes or any other felonies that would now be a misdemeanor after the passage of 780. Ladies and gentlemen, this here is probably one of the biggest reforms that we have been asking about, is to retroactively, and it's not as if that he's just going to I'm assuming he's not just going to say, okay, everybody, but it looks as if that he's going through the commutation process. For those, in order to go through the commutation process, you still have to submit your name. You still have to go through that process in order to get your information back on the desk of the governor. As you know, that Mary Fallon was going ahead and she was retroactive. She was commuting sentences. I think she commuted about 21 sentences right before she left. And I think this is good. Will, you asking, is this a smokescreen? I don't know, but just the fact that a starch Republican governor is basically performing and saying that, we want to do this, we want to clean up the system. I think this is phenomenal. Debbie, you said that will stop all people convicted on cannabis from having any of their jobs. Yeah, it could be. But I like the fact, because what this is going to do is lower the incarceration rate, at least by 30%, if all of these people submit their commutations. All right, let's go back to another form of reforms. Let me make sure I got it all. Yes, let me just go to what he said. Okay, let me use his words here. It basically says, with only a few weeks remaining in the legislative system, I am keenly focused on ensuring significant movement made on criminal justice reform. He says Oklahomans and community leaders agree that we need reforms, the funding structure for our district attorneys and courts. We must invest in diversion and treatment programs, and we must release nonviolent offenders from prison who were sentenced on drug-related charges under old laws. We can accomplish these reforms this year in a way that continues to keep our streets safe and ensures Oklahomans who are facing addiction and health challenges can take hold on opportunities for a second chance. Much more progress needs to be made, and I am committed to keeping criminal justice as a top priority in my administration. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime we have an elected official who is speaking this type of language, I'm here. I am here, and hopefully, Will, this is not a smoke screen. This is we have even the criminal justice reform organization. They actually went out, and let me put this on the screen. They praised the governor for this. They praised the governor. They said, "Thank you, Governor Stitt." Okay, yeah. It says, "Thank you, Governor Stitt and legislative leaders, for your ongoing commitment to criminal justice reform. The package announced today, coupled with our bipartisan bills that are still working their way through the legislative process, will help us move Oklahoma out of the position of #1 incarceration in the world. Without reforms, our state will continue to fail families and ultimately communities. We need change this session. I think this is phenomenal. And anytime you have this situation happening, it is a step in the right direction. Like I said today, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. I don't care. Anytime you have a politician who sits back and says, we're going to look at some form of reforms, we're going to change this, you have my ears, you have my dedication, and and I hope to God it's not a smokescreen. It's not a lot, but it's a start, right? All right, let's move on to the next subject here. Let's talk about this. Baltimore mayor has to resign. Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh has resigned. As you know, Baltimore Mayor has been under fire. If you do not know, she has been under fire for a lot of her alleged book sales. It's the children book sales, and I cut through the red tape so that way you can hear about it. A lot of her book sales, basically what happened is that Catherine Pugh wrote a book, and the people who bought the majority of her books actually does business with the city of Baltimore. So, what does that do? That screams corruption automatically. So a couple of weeks ago, we saw that the The law enforcement went in and seized a lot of her financial records. We saw that happen. Now we're hearing that the fact that, now she has resigned. So Baltimore, and she just got in there about a year and a half ago. So Baltimore mayor is turning around and she stepped down, y'all. I mean, Baltimore is now left without a mayor. And that's sad. That's sad because the city of Baltimore is hurting. The city of Baltimore is laced with corruption. But keep in mind, she just got caught. Everybody does this mess, but she got caught. And the golden rule in politics is do not get caught. That's always been the golden rule in politics. Okay, let me go back to one of your questions. Lala, you said, I'm serious when I say this, but I thank Kim Kardashian for bringing criminal justice reform, getting pardoned for Ms. Clemens. Lala, you got to inbox me on that one. Okay, we can thank anyone who's doing something positive, and I will leave it like that. But I want to say that Ms. Clemens' commutation, her pardon, and a lot of the things that Kim Kardashian was working on has come from a groundswell grassroots organization. Kim put her name on it because she's a celebrity, and then she laced it with the connection with her crazy husband and got the interview. So if it worked, I'm all good for it. And if celebrities want to use their fame, we've also seen Jay-Z and Meek Mills use their fame to help out one of the Atlanta rappers. I'm all for it. But I want to make sure that we give credit to the groundswell people, the people who actually are doing the labor. A lot of times celebrities will come in and put their name on it and take it to the step further. And we understand that because at the end of the day, did the results happen? So that's what I'm with. Lala, you said it's bringing it to the national level, and absolutely, it's bringing it to the national level that certain people cannot get there. So I am all for it. All right, guys. Will, you said so. Now it's up to the state legislators. As far as the proposal is concerned with the governor, yes, it is up to the state legislators to start looking at these bipartisan bills so they can start passing it, especially when they're talking about the funding, because they have to find the money from that. Money just doesn't appear out of the air. They have to find the money. And as you know, that Oklahoma is broke as hell. All right, guys, let me go on to my next subject here. Let me do a rundown right quick to tell you guys where we are with the Democrats showing down. There's a showdown between the Democrats and the Republicans or Donald Trump. So let me just give you a quick rundown to tell you guys what's happening. Attorney Barr, as you know, he released his unredacted or redacted report. And he's been on this tirade. And he had his press conference. What we found out is that yesterday Mueller released a letter via Washington Post saying that Barr has pretty much misrepresented what he wanted. And you guys can go and read the letter. Just Google the letter. But that's what he said. He said Barr misrepresented his context of the investigation, right? So William Barr yesterday testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee with his favorable Republicans and all those different things. But today he did not show up with the House Intelligence Committee. He just did not show up. So Nancy Pelosi feels as if that William Barr has broken the law. She said that he lied to Congress. He broke the law. That's where we are. It appears that the Republicans, Donald Trump, is going to sit on all subpoenas, play the game out in court. Donald McGahn is trying to testify. He said he's going to try to call for executive privilege, but the question is, can he do that when executive privilege was never enforced when he spoke to Mueller? So the question is, can he recall it? Can he call executive privilege over Don McGahn as now, since he's already spoken to Mueller? So Don McGahn has been subpoenaed, but again, Donald Trump is slowing everything down. And that's his motive. His motive, he said, we're going to stop and slow down every aspect of this investigation. And that's what he has. He has a coordinated effort with a lot of his friends and a lot of his people. He has a coordinated effort. Now, the question is, what are the Democrats going to do? They can hold contempt of court on William Barr, which means that he actually can be arrested or he can be fined. They can hold a lot of people in contempt of court. They can either be arrested or they can be fined. That's up to the leadership of that Democratic Party. That's up to the leadership of Nader. That's up to the leadership of all of these people. They're going to have to figure out what are they going to do with this situation. And yes, there's a groundswell effort just to say to the leadership, it's time to impeach Donald Trump. It's time to get rid of Nader. It's time to get rid of Barr. It's time to go out here and show force. However, right now it appears that the Democrats are kind of just doing a lot of lip service, a lot of threats, a lot of lip service. And basically the Republicans are like, well, who going to check me? What you going to do? Right? That's what we are. It's a showdown. It's a showdown of power. Right now, the House has the power of a subpoena, but Donald Trump has the power of the executive branch, and he can slow things down. My prediction is, I think what's going to happen is that Donald Trump is going to continue slowing things down, and the courts are not going to want to interfere. The courts are going to kick it back because they're going to feel as if that two sides could be able to sit down and to reconcile. That's what I believe. So I believe that Democrats are going to have to move with impeachment. They're going to have to do everything in their power to show force. Even if the Republicans in the Senate do not want to remove Donald Trump, they're still going to have impeachment. But keep in mind, they can also impeach Barr because Barr, the Constitution says that you can impeach anyone in that executive branch that is serving for the president. Will, you said Dems are walking a tightrope. I personally would prefer they stop the Republicans from dismantling the United States. That's what a lot of people are saying. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republicans they don't give a damn if they burn this country down. They don't care. I think we have to understand that. They just don't care. The Democrats are trying to save America. I know it doesn't seem like that, but the Democrats are trying to save America. However, it appears that they are becoming a pacifist. It appears that they are just slowing things down. And right now, the Democrats are going to have to show force because, to be honest with you, everyone is aligning themselves around Donald Trump and saying we shall not be moved under Donald Trump. So that's the little rundown. So watch every day. There's going to be something new that unfolds. But the main focus is, what are the Democrats going to do? We already know the playbook of the Republicans, but what is the playbook of the Democrats? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me talk about this story right here. And it is my last story of the night. And it is a doozy. Let's talk about it. I've been on it all day. I've been talking about this story all day long on Twitter, on Facebook. I have been talking about this story all day long. What is this story? Caster Semenya loses to compete as a woman in all races. What is happening? Caster, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Let me see if I can find a picture of her so you guys will know exactly. Here's Caster right here. Let me just kind of blow it up. There you go. This is Caster right here. She's there in the middle. Caster is a female, and back in 2009, she was running and winning races like never before. She was winning tons of races. She was beating her competition, her women competition, like never before. So her coach kind of convinced her to take some type of genetic testing and all of, because they tried to figure out, it was like, okay, she's shaped like a woman and sometimes she's shaped like a man. We don't know. So anyway, back in 2009, they found out that they went through some type of testing, and according to the reports, I'm just going to put it out there. According to the reports, they said that she is not 100% female. Okay. Now, this is what they're saying. So, what they have decided to do, the Olympic Committee, and this came out, that mind you, this was from 2009, and what they have decided to do, they have said that Castor, in order for Castor to participate into the Olympics in the women's section, she will have to take some form of a hormone or some type of pill that will reduce her testosterone. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she has to take some type of medication that will reduce her testosterone. So you're asking yourself, why is she producing so much testosterone? I personally don't know. I can only read to you what the reports were out in Australia. The reports in Australia said that Castor was born with no ovaries and no uterus. However, she does possess testicles. Her testicles were inverted. That's what the reports are saying. So this is why they're saying that she is producing a lot of testosterone. Okay. She is a woman. She goes by a woman. She says that she's a woman, and this is what she goes by. However, the Olympic Committee is saying that Castor must take some type of pills to reduce her testosterone so that she can compete along with other women. So when this information came out, this came out yesterday. When this information came out, people were hot. They were livid because they were saying that this is unfair. And one of the stories came out, and I would tell you one of the, let me just pull it up here. One of the memes that was circulating around the internet was this particular meme. Let me bring it up here on the screen. This was the meme, and I'm just going to read left to right. Here we go. It says, a court just ruled that South African Olympic runner Castor Semenya must take medication to reduce the testosterone that her body naturally produces if she wants to compete. That is true. The other side of it says, meanwhile, when medical tests prove that Michael Phelps' body produced less than half the lactic acid that his competitors produce, the Olympic Committee praised how lucky he is and was to have such an insane genetic advantage. So, Michael Phelps has currently a medical condition that will allow his muscles to not get tired like we have. Everyone knows about lactic acid that is inside our muscles. What happens to our muscles is that when you have so much lactic acid, you get tired, you get fatigued. Apparently, Michael Phelps is also double jointed. He's also, he has a huge wingspan that gives him that advantage. So people are making this comparison. I just want to make this comparison for context, okay? For context purposes, all right? Michael Phelps is still considered a male. Semenya Castor is still considered a female. Now, a lot of you guys are saying this is unfair, okay? This is unfair. Currently, right now, I don't necessarily know, is it fair or not? And I will explain to you why I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't know if it's fair or not. All I can tell you is that Castor, according to reports, produces the testosterone of a man. Okay? Is it fair for a person that produces the same testosterone as I do, or maybe greater or less, compete in a women's sport that they do not produce the same amount of testosterone. Now, there is a variation. Now, let's get medical. There is a variation of women producing certain amount of testosterone to certain amount of estrogen. Our bodies naturally produce. Men produce a form of estrogen along with the form of testosterone. But typically, testosterone in men are greater than the testosterone that women possess. All right. So I'm not trying to bore you with a lot of different depth right now, but I want to kind of get you guys to understand something. Now, there's a two-part situation to this. There's a society genetics, meaning how you and I perceive a person. And then there's also the science, how your chromosomes perceive you as said person. Okay? I want to make sure you guys are aware, right? So right now I'm talking in terms of the science, right? The science says your genetics is determined by your father. If you have a XX chromosome, you are a female. If you have an XY chromosome, you are a male. That is your genetic makeup. Either you're male or you female. Okay? Now that sounds good, right? However, there are genetic mutations. There are genetic anomalies that we are learning constantly by the moment. And there are studies that talk about different things. So as I was preparing for this conversation with you guys, I had to do some research on my own. And the research that I did on my own was something that you guys need to know of, because there is a test that is considered a karyotype test. Karyotype test is a chromosome test that determines your chromosomes. Okay? Many people who feel that they are transgender or intersex, I would take Castor as being intersex. I will say that she is considered intersex because she, according to the Olympic Committee, they said that she knows that she is a woman, however, but she's not 100% a woman, right? I know this stuff is crazy. So I'm just trying to make sure you guys getting all this, all right? So the Olympic Committee says that we know that she's a woman. I don't know if they're looking at her from a DNA perspective or they looking at her from a society perspective. Because remember, I said it's two-part. The Olympic Committee says that she's not 100% of a woman. I told you there was a report that showed that Castor was born with testicles, which gives her testosterone. There's a report for that. They said that she does not have any form of ovaries. So which means that she is not producing natural forms of estrogen. She may still produce some form of estrogen, but not a lot of estrogen as a person who would have ovaries. Okay. Now, there are conditions, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to talk about. All right. Now, I talked to you about a karyotype. It's Karyotype. It is called a karyotype testing. That testing is, let me just bring it up on the screen so you guys know what I'm talking about here. It says here, it says the number and visual appearances of chromosomes in a cell nuclei of an organism or species. All right. So that determines whether or not your chromosomes are a male or a female or multiple or not. So I was doing more studying, calling people within the health profession. There is a condition called Turner syndrome, ladies and gentlemen. Turner syndrome. I know. Here's Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is a chromosomal I hope I said it right, condition that affects the development in females. The most common features of Turner syndrome is short stature, which becomes evident by age 5, an early loss of ovarian function, ovarian hypofunction, or premature ovarian failure. Now, their chromosomes can be, ladies and gentlemen, X, X, and a Y. Make sure I said that right. Okay. Let me make sure I said that right, because I want to make sure I said that right. Hold on, make sure. Okay, here we go. No, I said that wrong. That's their condition, Turner syndrome. You guys need to look it up, do some studying on that. All right. There is another condition that will give males a female anatomy. You will have, it's called Klinefelter syndrome. Let me bring it up on the map. This is an adult show. That's why we're talking about this. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, guys, we have to have education and understanding. And as I learn, I want you guys to learn as well. And I'm still learning. Okay. This is a picture of a person who has Klinefelter syndrome. They have less body hair, they have breast enlargement, but their chromosomes are XXY. They have an extra X chromosome. Remember, I told you what determines a male is the term as a male is XY, but they have XXY. Okay. Now let's read the definition of Klinefelter syndrome, and it's right here. It says it's also known as the 47, XXY, or XXY is the set of symptoms that result from 2 or more X chromosomes in a male. The primary features are infertility, small testicles. Often symptoms may be subtle, and many people do not realize they are affected by this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about all of these different syndromes? The reason I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, is simply because of this. When we start to talk about DNA and gender, we have to go with the science, okay? So the question is now, what are the Olympic sports and other sports going to do about this growing problem that we're having as people become more aware of their gender and who they want to be? There will be people who will start competing into certain categories, and people will feel as if do they have a genetic advantage because they may possess a dominant chromosome that will give them an advantage, that will give them more testosterone. In the case of Miss Castor, she is a woman, but somehow she produces an exceptional amount of testosterone that gives her strength and power as an advantage over women who do not possess that same testosterone. Woo! Did y'all catch all of this? I hope y'all did. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. We're all growing and we're all educating ourselves. But this is going to be the biggest question. Are cisgender, that means people who identify with their gender, I'm a male, I'm cisgender, people are female, they identify with that. Are they going to have to start proving they are this? Is the Olympic Committee going to get to a point and say, if you are regarding yourself as this gender, you're going to have to prove that you are this gender? Case in point, there was a transgender wrestler, a male who transgender herself to a female, who competed in a high school wrestling match. She went in and she beat up every female, and she won the state. A lot of families are upset because they felt like her genetic makeup is technically a man, but she holds herself, society, as a female. Should she have competed in a female sport? Yes, this question is going to start happening as we grow, and we have to understand, we're going to have to start understanding genetics. We're going to have to start understanding society, how society regards people, and we're going to have to understand tolerance, and we're going to have to understand these things because they're ever evolving. And I am no expert. We are all growing together, and we all have our own biases. We all have our lack of understanding. But to get back to Miss Castor, you got to ask yourself this question. Is it fair for her to compete on the level of other females if she has a genetic trait that gives her a ton of testosterone? As a male, she has that advantage. Is that fair? Did the Olympic Committee make the right decision? Lala, you said nope, she should not have. Maybe making the whole new category. That's another thing. Will, you said, oh Lord, it's like 500 years ago when Queen Elizabeth had to prove that she was a virgin to the parliament. Y'all, this is going to be interesting how we are going to evolve. And this is not just in the United States. Currently, right now, Australia is going through a case right now where there's transgender women who are wanting to compete. Right now, transgender women and men and intersex communities are trying to go and get this Carroll type of testing to determine whether or not their chromosomes are male or female. Now, let's get real right now. Miss Castor was born this way. Okay. Her genetic makeup should not be on display. In my opinion, I believe all she wants to do is to run. She's a woman. She holds herself as a woman. And now she has to undergo some form of hormone replacement to reduce her level of testosterone. The confusion that people who are born with some form of genetic or intersex organs, or not even just organs, maybe some form of chromosomes. My heart goes out to those people because our science has not gotten to the point where we can actually sit down and explain this stuff to people, because we're ever evolving. Technology is happening, and we're all understanding. So I would ask people within the community of transgender, community of intersex, educate us, bear with us, let us know how we can help so that we can have a better understanding. And I would think, and I would have hope that the Olympic community would have brought in an intersex person, female, an intersex or transgender and a transgender woman to advise them on how to handle Castor. Ladies and gentlemen, this situation is not going to go away. It may even come up in your local high school for your children. This situation is not going to go away. This is the Olympic Committee, professional sports. We're going to go to professional sports. There are going to be cases where athletes are saying, should we even need gender sports? There are people who are saying this right now. Do we need gender sports? Do we need sports that separate us from genders? Can a woman compete on the same level as a man? I cannot tell you that, and I don't have an answer. I'm just telling you guys, there is going to be a lot of chatter and a lot of talk because as society evolves, as we evolve, we're evolving to something greater, we're evolving to something new, and we are also learning. And I believe right now we're playing catch up because the science is there, but the advent of the information and the education is not there yet. Okay, let me go to some of your statements here. Lala, you said the more you talk about it, the more upsetting it is. I'm sorry. Shonda, you said, and hormone replacement is never without risk. I had progesterone and maintained my last pregnancy. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Lala, you said, I hate that she has to go through this. I agree with you. Will, you said, of course, at the Republican convention. Lala, you said, exactly, no gender. All right, guys, that's all I have. I just wanted to talk to you guys about Castor. And again, I have no opinion on it. I'm just stating facts. And if I've said anything that is incorrect, please correct me because we're all still learning about chromosomes. But what we do know is what determines a male and female. Females are XX and males are XY. However, there are genetic anomalies that can happen. As I talked to you about Klinefelter syndrome, where there can be males can have an XXY chromosome and they can have large breasts. They can have, I know it's a lot and it's too much for y'all to deal with all tonight. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for joining. I'll come back tomorrow so we can talk about it because I missed Tuesday. Holla at you. Peace.